What's up guys, it's Paul here for the 95 Investors Club channel. In this video I wanted to show you some of the trades that I'm currently holding as an update to what I was talking about in some of my previous videos, as well as some of the stocks that I'm watching which are at key levels in my opinion, okay? So first of all, in my previous video I was told you about how I was watching some of the travel stocks, and one of the main stocks that I was watching personally was Boeing. And I told you about how if it breaks through this previous high of 232, it could potentially run up before retesting it. So it did shoot up quickly here, retested it, and it ended up becoming a good support. And it looks like it's going to hold that as a support, and we may see a potential continuation from here, okay? So to take advantage of that, I had gotten this weekly call debit spread on it expiring on December 11th, where I got 6 of the 230 calls and sold 6 of the 230-250 calls at a cost of 768. Or an average cost of 128 for each of them. And as long as Boeing stays above 230-250 by December 11th, which I'm fairly confident it will, this should be nearly a 2x because the value of the spread would be 250, okay? So this is another really easy way that you can use to trade weekly debit spreads, where if you find a good support that you think the stock could bounce off of, then you can set up your short call at or just below that potential support. And by trading a weekly call debit spread, you can easily 2x your money more often than not, okay? Another stock that I've been watching was Appian. Appian dropped like crazy after this huge run up. Initially, they shot up because of earnings, but after that, it was just hype and a lot of just enthusiasm and momentum in the stock that really led it all the way up to $193. Or actually, at all-time highs, it even shot up past 200. But as I was expecting, and as it should for any stock that has run up so much, it needs to go through a correction, and it sure did go through a correction. It was able to find some pretty good support here around 140, 145. So for a potential reversal and a recovery over the next month or so, I got this call debit spread where I got 8 of these 145, 150 call debit spreads at an average cost of 163, and for 8 of them it cost me $1304. As long as Appian can stay above 150 by January 15, 2021, the value of the spread would be $500 each, or $4,000 for 8 of them. So this should be nearly a $2,700 profit, okay? Appian is already at 154. It's already above the short call, which is why the spread is already at 62%. But I'm most likely going to hold this very close to expiration so that I could potentially get at least 450 to 475 out of it. So that's nearly going to be a 3x or a 200% gain on this, okay? Again, similar to the call debit spread on Boeing, if you can find a good support that you think it can bounce off of based on some historical performance, it's really easy to come up with call debit spreads where you sell your short call at or even slightly above sometimes if you have enough time on expiration, like January in this case. And it's a really effective strategy to be able to 2 or even 3x your money. Another trade that I placed today is actually on Alteryx. Alteryx has gone through 2 huge corrections before, and both times it was able to find a pretty good support between 106 to around 115 or so. Now in this case, I got 5 of the 120 calls and sold 5 of the 125 calls in a call debit spread. It cost me $216 as an average cost, or a total of $1080 for 5 of them. And again, as long as Alteryx stays above 125 by January 15th, 2021, the value of this spread would be $500, or again, another 2.5x, less than 2.5x, but at least a 2x profit if it can just move up by $4 from here, okay? So call debit spreads are very effective, guys. Find those stocks that have come down a lot and potentially found some support, that are potentially consolidating, like Alteryx has been for almost a month here, ever since this drop back in November 6th. So if you can find these stocks and set up these almost at the money or even slightly out of the money call debit spreads for a month out, where you're giving it enough time to recover, I think call debit spreads can be very effective to potentially 2x these little investments almost every single month, okay? One other trade that I placed that I'm watching here currently is Splunk. Splunk absolutely got destroyed after earnings. They dropped all the way from $205 down to $157, which is a huge drop. But I was looking to see if they would drop all the way down to around 150 here to see if they can find some support. But it never even went all the way down here. They were able to find some support around 155, 156 and started recovering today. So again, similar to Alteryx, I decided to get a call debit spread close to the support, where I picked up 6 of these 165, 170 call debit spreads to be slightly more aggressive. Something more safer would have been maybe a 155 to 160 call debit spread, or even a 145, 150 call debit spread if you really want to play it safe. But at this price, considering I have enough time, if Splunk can go above 170 by expiration, again, since my average cost was only 165, this is another potential 3x opportunity in a monthly trade. Okay, so those are examples of just 3 or 4 call debit spreads, which are relatively safe, and you could 2 to 3x your money even if the stock doesn't move up a whole lot. Okay, so I would highly recommend that you start trading call debit spreads a lot more often, especially on stocks that have recently been beaten down and are on the path to recovery. Okay, now going back to stocks that I'm actually watching going forward, those are the stocks that I'm holding for now. I've been watching Facebook for a while. I haven't really gotten into a trade recently, but they've been able to find this support here all the way back to June when they had this correction, and it's been holding on as a pretty strong support all the way, and right now it pretty much coincides with the 50-day moving average. And so they've kind of been trading in this channel, so I'm definitely watching out for it. It bounced off of it 3 times and hasn't been able to break through, but we may see a bit of a reversion to the mean based on this Bollinger Band, which is around 277, 278. So I'll be looking to see if it does keep coming down, to see if it bounces off here around 274, 275 and goes back up. But if it does end up breaking through this upper line here, upper resistance that I'm watching here, then I would potentially be looking forward for calls on Facebook. Okay. Now another stock that I'm watching is Apple. Apple has been recovering fairly slowly, but we are back at the previous high at 124. Not all-time highs, but when we saw this big run up here on the recovery after the stock split news. So I'll be looking to see if they break out of 124.59, 124.60. They briefly did today, but they started coming down later towards the day. But that's the key level that I'm watching for Apple to see if it can recover. Then I'll also be watching Zscaler. If you look at Zscaler on a weekly chart, right after earnings, they shot up quickly to 188, 189. They briefly tested it again here today, but they were not able to go. They were not able to break out from there. They fell back down. But I'll be looking to see if it can continue going back up. They had pretty good volume, and it has, whenever a stock shoots up so much and doesn't come back down immediately, but actually trade sideways for a bit, shows that there is some momentum and strength within that stock. Okay, so I'll be looking to see if it can break out at all-time highs here at 189. If it does, this could be a potential play for Zscaler. Okay, another stock I'm watching is actually Redfin. Redfin is getting back pretty close to some highs that it saw back in October, around $57 here that I'm watching. So it's getting very close. I'll be looking to see if Redfin can break out of 57 as well, or if it ends up becoming a strong resistance again. But I'll definitely be watching Redfin to see. Zillow has been doing really well, so I feel like Redfin has been a bit of a lagger in this sector. So definitely going to be watching Redfin here. I was also watching Fastly today. Fastly shot up like crazy. We did a pretty quick day trade within the group here. It was a quick 100% flip. They shot up like crazy earlier this morning. We picked up some day trade calls somewhere here, and I sold that around here for a quick 100% profit. But the thing is, if you look at it historically as well, they're actually down quite a bit from all-time highs, and they're just crossing that 100 mark, which has been a strong resistance. Okay, so I'll be watching to see that. They briefly went over it. If I look at the dailies here, they briefly shot up over $100 and started coming back down. But again, even Fastly closed very strong. That volume was actually 2.5 times the average volume, which is always good to see. So I'll be watching for any potential continuation tomorrow to see if it can break out of from 100. So definitely going to be watching Fastly. And then I'll also be watching Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix shot up again. It had an incredible day after earnings. They shot up 39% today. But what I'm really interested to see is the previous all-time high. If I actually get it down to the daily range, you'll see that way back in September 2018, the all-time high was around $51. So it wasn't able to break through it today. I think it briefly tested it right on open. Actually, it did cross through it briefly on market open, but it started coming back down. But definitely going to be watching Stitch Fix to see if there's further continuation. If it breaks out of all-time highs, then Stitch Fix can definitely run up more. Okay, so those are the stocks that I'm watching, guys. I hope this really helps you out. If it did, please just smash that like button. Leave a comment below if there are any other stocks that you want me to watch, and I'll let you know what I think about it. And be sure to join Discord if you haven't already. We keep discussing stock ideas, potential trades, and I post a lot of them for both free members and a lot more for patrons. So definitely check that out as well. But that's all I wanted to share with you for here today. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. And thank you for watching, and until next time.